Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 33 of the Clutch Dump. And as opposed to us focusing on Max Verstappen because his number is 33, we're going to be talking about almost everything that isn't Formula One, and I couldn't be more excited. But before we jump into the clash at the LA Coliseum, before we jump into more F1 livery reveals, before we jump into more irrelevant Lamborghini Aventador Type 675, make sure, if you haven't already, if you're listening, go ahead and drop a subscription or a follow on whatever podcasting platform you're listening on. But also, make sure to check us out on YouTube at the Clutch Dump Pod. Guys, it's linked in my Instagram. It's linked in our Clutch Dump Instagram. It's linked it should be, it better be in Ben's Instagram.
It is.
So make sure to check us out, leave a subscription, like the videos, guys. We've really appreciated the support. And obviously, comment interesting things about the episode, comment things you didn't know, or comment things that you thought we offered a different perspective on, or comment what you want to see more or less of. Speaking of what I want to see less of, I want to see less of the clash at the LA Coliseum for NASCAR, but we're not going to get into that because I am joined by the very lovely and the ever Valentino Rossi hat-wearing Ben Walther. And we are starting, first and foremost, Ben, with the 10th year of basically the Aventador.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to point out, I'm going to wear this hat until I get a MotoGP, in which case I'll just buy a new Rossi hat and then wear that one.
I'll be there, and I will probably buy another hat as well.
There we go. Yes, so while this is a Motorsport episode, Lamborghini did release two new air quotes for the audio listeners.
This is also our Monday Motorsports episode, but
yes, so we're going to start with road cars.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Lamborghini has released two, what is supposedly the final editions of the Aventador.
The V12, of the Lambo V12, but we've heard that. With whatever the Lamborghini Roadster was, it was supposed to look like the Mira Roadster.
Well, here's the thing: is they said it's the final naturally aspirated V12.
Okay, so really not that much is changing.
Really, not that much is.
Really, you could have a V12 and it's got twin turbos and it's making 2,000 horsepower. So,
well, supposedly the replacement is supposed to be hybrid. So.
Well, it'll probably overlap with their LMDH car.
Who knows? But Lamborghini has released these two cars, and it is just two.
Have some of the silliest names. So when you say,
names.
they've released two cars, when are they coming for sale? Well, no, it's literally two cars. One Roadster, one Coupe.
That's it. And they're going to be...
have some silly names.
Yeah. Nick, can you pronounce those because you're Italian?
Yeah. Well, there's the Authentica Roadster, which basically just means authentic. So it's a real Roadster, guys.
Yep.
And then
there's not a fake convertible.
It's not even in Italian, too. It is literally the Invincible Coupe.
I would like to test that theory.
It cannot be defeated.
Cannot be. It's the best coupe.
You know that Bugatti Chiron, whatever, one of one? Nah, can't be beaten.
Nope,
that thing, nothing. That ain't nothing compared to the Invincible Coupe.
Yeah.
Now, that all being said, the designs of these cars are some of the best-looking Lamborghinis I think we've seen in 10 to 15 years.
They look really good, I'll be honest. I was very pleased with them.
So, Ben will have a photo up, obviously.
There will be pictures.
But if you're seeing the photos, you don't have to imagine. But it's like Sesto Elemento mixed with Reventon, mixed with the Centenario on an Aventador platform.
Mm-hmm. It looks quite
very
good.
Much good.
I'm more of a fan of the Roadster than I am the Coupe. Especially because of not the rear wing, but the rear fins it's got going on. Pretty hot.
Well, here's the thing, though, is if you're in the market for this car, you're also in the market for like the one of three Pagani Huayra Rs or whatever, or all the absurd Italian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would not take one of these over a Pagani.
I do like, however, my favorite part about this is they posted interior pictures as if the car has changed since 2014.
Well, right, yeah. The interior still looks as good as it did in 2014, which was good.
No, which was good, and the steering wheel is slightly different. They made it bigger, it looks like. Steering wheels should be smaller. But I have heard rumors that they have fixed the interior for the Aventador replacement. So apparently styling good, horsepower good, because it's going to be a hybrid V12, so it'll make like 1,200 horsepower. And they fixed the interior. So basically it won't be from 2014 anymore.
It won't be trash.
So there will be pictures here. Yeah, it looks awesome. Nick, why?
Yes.
Why is everyone putting 3 exhaust tips on cars now?
Oh, I don't know. If you're gonna put 3, just do what Pagani did and put 4 right in the center of the back end.
Because like we have, what is it? GR Corolla has 3.
LFA
LFA has 3. Civic Type R,
3.
the new one, 3, and now this not Aventador.
All of which are like, you know, in the same wheelhouse.
The same car.
You're
GR
either
Corolla,
getting a Lamborghini
Aventador.
Authentica Roadster or you're getting a Type R. It's just
Those two often cross shop.
like Baja when he got his Type R, he decided between that and a Lamborghini Authentica Roadster
and an Aventador. Yes. So, yeah, we just wanted to bring that up real quick because, well,
it's hot, relevant news. It came off the skillet of car news today, and we thought, so who
we
could
brought it up.
appreciate this? Yeah, the Clutch Dump listener base.
Yes, Mr. Nick Patty, we had many things happen this weekend.
Surprisingly, I watched all the racing from this weekend.
I watched all of it except for the one that you're excited about.
No, I'm not excited. No, literally.
Really? Because it's probably the NASCAR race I'm most interested in.
It should be. So do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about Bathurst? Because
we're already talking about NASCAR, so let's dive on in. Take the lead, mister.
Oh, hold on. I just unplugged my computer.
Oh,
I'm such an amateur.
gosh.
And then my cord that charges it got trapped underneath my Camaro fender.
I would cut this out, but you're the one messing up, so I'll leave it in.
Yeah, no, please do leave it in. This is the Clutch Dump uncut. One moment.
Yeah. This is the director's cut?
This is the director's cut. Okay, so NASCAR.
Oh, dear.
At the Clash at the Coliseum, guys. And if you're
put
wondering,
mine on, but I don't know where they are.
well, what kind of a man are you that loses pit vipers? Watson, I love you, dude. You got to get out of the podcast episode. My dogs are like, now's the time to bother Dad. Well, NASCAR.
Yes. NASCAR.
The Clash at the Coliseum. So, the Coliseum, cool stadium. Horrible track. Listen, I knew it was short. And then the commentators were talking about how it's one of the quarter-mile tracks. And I was like, the what?
It's a quarter mile
The
track.
quarter-mile track? Okay.
Yeah.
What? So there's that, but we did some calculations. Well, my brother-in-law did. Because we were out at my in-laws yesterday, and we had a few cases of beer, and we were like, let's watch some NASCAR.
As you do.
So we did. And my brother-in-law did the calculations. If there was no cautions, the race should have lasted 37 minutes.
Yeah.
The race ended up lasting 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That is to say there was 2 hours of caution, which at this race, a caution is actually a red flag, but a red flag typically means the cars are stopped. But in this case, it functions as a caution, but it's called a red flag because they don't want the laps to tick down because it would have the race end too soon. So if you're sitting here and you're like, wait a minute, that's just hella confusing. It is, because Brendan kept going, oh, they're under red flag. And I was like, this dumbass. They're going around the track. It's a yellow.
They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving. It's not a red flag. And then I would see, oh, we're under another red flag. And then the cars are behind the 6th-gen Camaro safety car. And I was like, this is the... So last year at the Clash at the Coliseum, which was the first year of this race at this track, they had 5 cautions over the 175 laps. This year, I think they ended on 14 or 15.
Yeah.
So they did as many caution laps as they did green flag laps. That all being said, let me do a brief little background. So we have some NASCAR news that's not the Clash.
Yes.
And this first bullet point, I saw literally 15 minutes ago. The story was literally right before we started this episode. So apparently Kyle Busch said it's, quote, my mistake that he went into Mexico concealing a handgun. And if you don't know, you can't just travel in between countries with guns. That's not legal.
This is America. We're not used to that. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Busch was like, listen, I drive NASCAR, and I'm a red-blooded American. I don't know what this Mexican bull crap is. So anyway, he went in there with a gun, and he was like, oops, that's my mistake. Kevin Harvick is joining the Fox commentary booth for NASCAR in 2024. Thoughts?
I barely know who Kevin Harvick is, so sure.
You son of a gun. All right, next.
I genuinely, seriously, I have not watched, actually followed NASCAR in, 6 years.
Well, these are actually your bullet points coming up. So, Ben, why don't you, as the technical expert on the clutch dump, go ahead and give us the in-depth analysis as to what it took for this track to come to be.
Oh, honestly, the only reason I'm interested in this race is because it financially makes no sense.
Oh, no, not at all.
So if you don't know what the LA Coliseum is, because you don't live in Los Angeles and you don't watch sports, it's a football stadium. So one would think, oh, they tear up the football stadium and then pave a track. No, they just put it over the football field.
Yeah.
So they put 130,000 square feet of plastic over the grass and then cover it all in plywood. And then 500 truckloads of dirt, 4.5 feet deep. And then, this is not a typo, 3,120,000 pounds of asphalt to pave the whole thing. And then concrete walls all around it. And then 1,400 feet of safety fence all the way around it.
Unreal.
And then it's going to be ripped up this week.
Yeah. Because it's NASCAR and that's actually a football stadium. So for context, the Clash used to be held at Daytona or Charlotte or these big story tracks for NASCAR.
Right.
And unfortunately, in NASCAR's attempt to appeal to Gen Z,
yes,
for people like me or people like my in-laws, it's just not. It's not doing what it should be doing.
They don't care if you like it. It's not for you. You have the rest of the season. Don't watch this one. They don't care. It's not for you.
But it's the start of the season, man. Who isn't going to watch that race?
Wait for the next one. Whatever. Just watch the next one. It don't matter.
I'm squinting, but you can't see it.
There's a scowl behind those vipers.
Yeah.
I mean, the purpose of it is to attract new fans. Because here's the thing. No one likes NASCAR anymore.
All right, well, I'm just going to get into the bullet points so I can cover my bases, and then I'm just going to rant. So practice. Ty Gibbs' car caught fire. Reigniting. You're going to put that in editing.
Hilarious. I'll do it.
Reigniting concerns over the next-gen safety, and Chase Briscoe and A.J. Allmendinger bring Rubbins Racing back into clear view for the NASCAR community. And for those of you all that don't know, I am a hardcore A.J. Allmendinger fan. You would be hard-pressed to find somebody that wants the dinger to secure wins more than I do. However, wait, that's not a however. Moreover, I was so happy. You're just going to put, however and moreover in big red words and then, a line through it. And moreover.
Anyway.
AJ, in practice, came to blows with Chase Briscoe on the track. And Chase Briscoe, if you don't know, is a beer-bellied, balding young man that drives a Ford. So really all Ford
drivers. Every other NASCAR driver.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, Ford drivers. But, so...
I like Fords.
AJ was rear-ended by Chase Briscoe for 3 corners in a row. So over a lap and a half, he kept getting bumped and pushed and pushed. And this is practice. So Chase Briscoe gets by him. And A.J. Allmendinger in the next corner is like, well, that's unfortunate. And so he rear-ends Chase Briscoe. He doesn't damage his own car, but he bumps him hard enough and ensures that Chase Briscoe drives straight into the wall before he continues the corner.
Fantastic.
And Chase Briscoe's like, man, that's not very nice. That's not racing. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, let's go, AJ. Come on. Drivers are so quick to push other drivers out of the way in NASCAR and then be like, oh my God, he pushed me out of the way. It's like, welcome to NASCAR. So that was practice. Those were the talking points. Moving into the race, it was a tale of infinite cautions. Just caution after caution after caution. And it's a bad race when Mike Joy ends up repeating himself with a catchphrase to rationalize why they're racing. So Brendan Bielefeld, when you're listening to this episode, this is for you. You only had to watch 14 minutes and you get it. And I'm sure Ben will edit something creative here. But Mike Joy said maybe a dozen times, under a full moon tonight, it's a great night for some short track racing. And we're just like, okay, you've said that after every it'd be a caution flag. We'd all be moaning and groaning oh, another caution. And Mike Joy would be like, hey, we're under a full moon. It's a great night for some short track racing. And we're like, you're right, Mike. Thank you. You've just acquitted all the cautions that we've had to deal with that have been driving us up the wall. So anyway, yeah, I mean, Ben, you watched how much of it before you got too bored?
I think I watched 2 laps, maybe 3 laps, and then left.
So that's a whole of 45 seconds.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I didn't leave because the racing wasn't entertaining. I just left because I'm just not interested in NASCAR. Like, the idea of a quarter-mile track, very interesting. I'm far more interested in that than, like, Texas Motor Speedway or anything.
No, you're so wrong.
No, it's interesting because it's different. So I'm far more interested in that. But, like, I just watched 2 minutes of it, and I was like, oh, right, I forgot. I don't like NASCAR. And then I left, and that was it. So,
Well, fair enough. You didn't miss much.
yeah.
So, in terms of the results, Martin Truex is your winner, which, in case you don't know, the Clash is not a points race. So, while this kicks off the new season of NASCAR...
See, it's not even the first race of the season. What are you upset about? Let it go. It's not for you. It doesn't mean anything. It's literally just there because it can be. It's it.
So Martin Truex won the race. Austin Dillon in second and Kyle Busch in third. This was almost the perfect start for RCR. Which, if you're sitting there and you go, "What's RCR?" We're not going to be friends. Stop listening.
Because I don't know.
You're kidding.
I don't know.
Richard Childress Racing.
Oh, sure. I'll pretend like I know what that means. Go ahead.
Indeed. I hate you. I literally despise you, all your crotch rocket liberal tyranny bullcrap. So,
Yamaha out of this.
So, keep my yellow crotch rocket out of this.
Did nothing to you. Okay.
So, this was the most cringe part of the race, in all seriousness. So, Ben, question for you.
Yes. Yeah.
When you think of musical performers that you think that would perform at a NASCAR race, who do you think of? Maybe Leonard Skinner, Motley Crue, like country?
I mean, that would make sense, because if you think of the demographic of NASCAR, they're like you. So they're, I don't know,
old
40s,
and cranky?
50s,
yeah,
old,
exactly.
cranky, drink cores out of IPA glasses. So, yes, I would think of an old band that no one listens to anymore. And then, yeah, that's about it.
God, you're just saying everything.
Or
your words are cutting awfully deep tonight.
I'm gonna throw out a hypothetical here. So, hypothetically, say you have a NASCAR race that is meaningless. Okay, it's in a new place. Its only purpose is to attract new, younger audiences in a new, younger audience-filled city. Who would you have perform? Someone that new,
Post
younger
Malone,
audiences
Jack Harlow,
listen to.
not Dixie D'Amelio, who has one album, and all she did was happen to be the sister of some broad who happened to get on TikTok before it was popular. That's all she's done, and she opens for the Clash at the Coliseum. I wanted to put my head in the actively burning fireplace at the nearest home. I was so like, are you kidding me? Okay, so let's say we want to appeal. No, Ben, you pipe down. You didn't watch the race.
No, because you're wrong.
Listen. If you wanted to appeal to a younger audience, you know who was at the race? You know who was at the race who didn't perform? Young Gravy. Are you telling me for Gen Z you can find anybody bigger than Young Gravy?
I don't know. I don't listen to music.
Okay, so
I don't. I'm sorry.
So Ben's only qualification to comment on this is the fact he's Gen Z, doesn't listen to music, doesn't watch NASCAR.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so Dixie D'Amelio, horrible. And then something that I didn't know the Clash does is there's a halftime where basically halfway during the race, it's like the 2-minute warning where they just say, all right, timeout, you're done.
I thought it was only a halftime at the Super Bowl. Anyway, move on.
And so Wiz Khalifa performed at the halftime performance, which...
That's fine.
To each their own, but he lip-synced the entire time, and it was some of the worst lip-syncing you can possibly see.
Isn't that every concert?
And if you sit there and you go, Nick, how do you know he was lip-synced? Just look on Twitter. Like, it is... Nobody thinks he's
Isn't every concert lip-synced?
No, it's not, Ben.
I've never been to a concert.
Refer back to those older bands I was talking about. They don't lip-sync. Yeah.
They didn't have recording devices then.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that.
All right, guys.
I've never been to a concert, so.
Well, anyway.
Anyway.
horrible music at the race. That all being said, I don't really know what to take away from this race, other than a lot of the drivers that don't typically led the race, and Bubba Wallace, he was a pouty little baby afterwards. He was a little crybaby Bubba. He was so upset. He is a privileged man driving NASCAR, and he, like half the field, got turned at some point during the race.
Right.
And he was a big old crybaby. And he said Austin Dillon doesn't know how to race any other way than just pushing people out of the way. And I'm like, my brother in Christ, you're on a quarter-mile track that was paved 3 days ago with 30-some-odd cars on it. What did you think was going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that is Nick's NASCAR. I'm trying to think of another word that starts with N. That's descriptive of.
Anyway, I think we should have F1 races on shortened tracks.
Just shut up.
That are short enough that you can't use aero.
Well, no, okay, so I would agree, but I think that's what Bathurst would be, because up through the top of the hill, there is no real, like, the arrow takes into effect for part of it, and then you have the really long straights, but...
Right, like, do a track that's like 1.5 miles long and isn't fast enough to use arrow, and just
Texas Motor Speedway.
And just see if it works. So, yeah, that was NASCAR. Nick, when is the next NASCAR race?
That's a good question. I have no clue.
Oh my gosh.
Let me look.
I'm on it. I'm going to the calendar. Going to the calendar. NASCAR is turquoise. Daytona, the 16th.
Of this month?
Sorry, Daytona is the 19th of February. Yes, Daytona 500 is the next race.
We're watching that together.
Okay.
I don't care if you don't want to.
Let's see, 19th.
You and my brother-in-law are coming over and we're watching the Daytona 500.
All right, fine. I'll show up.
I will bring you plenty of alcohol. Don't worry.
I don't like alcohol.
I will drive you home. You do, and you say you don't.
I don't.
I will pick you up, and I will drop you off. I will be your designated driver.
Nick, there was an endurance race this past weekend.
So was there?
We should talk about that.
That I spent 9 hours of my life watching.
So I watched all 12, or like most of it. I watched like 11 and a half. I forgot when it started. I don't know how time zones work, so. We had the 12 hours of Bathurst, and I was very excited because I like endurance racing, and Bathurst is like the coolest track ever made that is in Australia. Yeah. Nick, thoughts? Bathurst, endurance racing, crashes.
Dude, this Bathurst in particular was what this was the first this was the first Bathurst 12 hours that I have watched like more than half of. I've seen like a little bit here and there in years past, mostly because it's hard to find where to watch it. Like pre-streaming services 3 or 4 years ago, like when Netflix was really the only player, pre-Motorsport TV app and all this stuff, you just couldn't watch it. There just wasn't a way to do it unless someone pirated it.
YouTube.
Yeah, well, even YouTube, only the last few years have they started to allow that. So
allow live streaming for that long.
Yeah, it was difficult, but this race was. I wish it was a little bit closer at the. I mean, it was close at the end. Don't get me wrong, but if we had if we had 5 more laps, we would have had a 3-way fight for the lead. It would have been
close.
Fantastic. I thought this race on a 10 scale was like an 8.5. It was.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
It was fantastic, and for context, I would also rate Daytona at like an 8.5. It was twice as long, but there wasn't quite nearly as there was about half as much excitement in Daytona in terms of the overall leaders and everything. So. Bathurst was great. Everybody that listens to this podcast knows I am a hardcore Porsche fan. I am a Porsche-phile, and they nearly at the end of it. I mean, regardless of where they finished, Matt Campbell had a sensational drive at the end of that race. It was flawless, except for that one nick of the wall that was turn 5 maybe, and that is the only nick of the wall at Bathurst that I have seen where you don't break a half shaft or break your toe link. Yeah.
Right.
Like, the fact he didn't have a wheel facing the wrong way after that contact blows my mind. But hey, Second place for Manti Racing, Matt Campbell, Mathieu Jaminet, and something Prining. I am proud. I am happy for them. And then that Sun Energy 1 Racing
Sun
Mercedes.
Energy 1 AMG GT.
3 in a row, right?
3 in a row.
Which is one of 2 or 3 times in Bathurst history that's happened.
Yeah, so it was one of the drivers, Jules
Gounon, yeah.
Gounon. Thank you for pronouncing that first because I would have said it wrong. Jules Gounon, it was his 3rd victory in a row, and he's one of 9 drivers to ever do that. So
this weekend in Bathurst was pretty incredible. So for those of y'all that didn't watch or don't know of, it set the record for record attendance at the event.
Yep.
It was 53,000 something.
Which sounds so nice, dude.
I know. Mauro Engel in qualifying broke the all-time, not race, not just qualifying, not just in the GT3 area, all-time GT3 single lap record around Bathurst with a 2-minute 00 something. He was the first driver to break 2:01, basically. So that was pretty incredible. And then we got something that's only happened a few times, which is a 3-time back-to-back winner at the Bathurst 12-hour. And for those of y'all listening, there are 2 Bathurst endurance races. One is the Bathurst 12-hour, one is the Bathurst 1,000 kilometers, which is Australian V8 Supercars, which I cannot wait to watch with the new Camaro and the S650 Mustang. That is going to be nuts. Whenever that is, let me know, and we're watching that. But
I don't know who to root for because I have a Camaro, but I like Mustangs more.
Wow. Okay. In terms of the dynamic of the race, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mercedes was the cream of the crop the entire weekend.
Dude, okay. I want to talk about this freaking Mercedes.
Balance of performance, my ass.
Dude, both here and at Daytona.
I know.
Why are they so fast? So I looked into it. They still use the 6.3-liter V8. They're not the biter. That motor's from 2007.
Yeah, my mom had it in her station wagon.
Fix it! Do something else!
You've had 16 years to balance a performance this motor.
To be fair, I guess I can't say anything because the 6th gen Camaro Australian supercar is going to have an LS in it, which they discontinued in 2014, but come on, fix it!
Don't fix it. Keep it NAV8, baby.
Oh my gosh. I was like, why is it so fast? Why does it work? And it's because they've been developing this platform for the past 50 years.
I need, if you're watching this, if you're a viewer, I need you to clip Ben just going, fast. The way he never says fast. It's why is it so fast?
There's a Y. It's FAYST. Why is it so fast?
Fast. Well, and then so there was that. The BMW M4 was super competitive. In a good way. The Audi R8 was probably the weakest car in the field.
Well,
the Porsche was about mid-field. Here's the thing, though, for listeners. The Porsche running at the Bathurst was still the 991.2. So that is the GT3 car that they've been running for the last 2.5, 3 years.
Yep.
So Manti Racing was running the car that they've had for a few years. I would say, obviously they finished second. In terms of flat-out lap time, they were slower. They were slower than the Mercedes. The only reason they had a charge is because Gounon was taken out by... It was Mauro Engel, and then Mauro Engel had to serve a drive-through penalty. So that dropped Mauro Engel back behind the Porsche.
Yep.
Well, the Porsche was
Mercedes.
single-stinting its tires towards the end of the race. The Mercedes of Gounon was double-stinting. So that was why the Porsche had the increase in pace. But the Porsche on its own was... I would say it was about BMW level performance. It was Mercedes was clear of the field, BMW, Porsche midfield, and then Audi at the back.
Yeah, and the BMWs were having some issues. I know that Rossi's car, yes, that one, the number 46 car, I know that they were having oil issues. I know that they had an oil leak for
the cause of the spray.
Right, I know that they had an oil leak for the last 2 hours of that race, and it was one of those things of either it blows up and it sucks, or we make it to the end, or we bring it into the pits and we don't finish.
Right.
So it didn't blow up, and they finished. So cool. They ended up finishing. I think they were a lap behind. But at one point, they were up into 5th, doing well. But yeah, that BMW just... That Mercedes is so fast, dude.
It's so fast!
It's so fast! I don't know. I don't know if the GT3R the 992 car. I don't know if it would.
It would have been slower.
Yeah, I don't know how competitive it would have been.
Unless Bathurst would have seen the BOP from IMSA and decided we're going to have the Porsche be a little bit faster. There's no way to tell, but...
So, I mean, who knows? But those Mercedes were those were the cars to be in.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that Mauro Engel is an incredibly talented driver, don't get me wrong. The fact he was running several seconds a lap faster than other drivers on the same tires.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Nick, speaking of running on the same tires, do we want to talk about this new Pirelli compound?
Yeah, it was interesting. So the first example, so for context, Pirelli introduced a new tire for these GT3 cars. And to my knowledge, they didn't run Pirelli last year at all. So I think this is all new. But Pirelli this year with a new compound for the GT3 cars in SRO, or International GT Challenge, or whatever the hell the series is called now. SRO is the governing body.
Challenge.
Yeah. Stefan Rotel organization. But the Pirelli tires were a harder, they were just a harder compound that needed more heat to come to grip. Mm-hmm. So the first example of a team being caught out by this, and I don't remember which car, I think it was the Audi that Chaz Mostert was in, coming out of pit lane. And we've seen this at Daytona before, where a driver will be coming out of the pits, and at Daytona it's that really tight kind of U horseshoe-shaped corner, and they'll slide and hit that wall. But in this case, he slid out over the blend line between pit exit and turn 1 exit, and he tried to get back in time, but he ended up running over the bollard that was at the end of the blend line, and so they got a penalty, when it's unfortunate because it was just a result of these hyper cold tires that they hadn't had experience testing in this condition, in these weather conditions. Brand new sticker slicks. And so that kind of set the tone for the race. John Heidhoff was pointing out there is a zero tolerance policy from the race officials, and they were making sure that was very clear from the get-go. So there's one rule for everybody, and we're just going to enforce that.
Yep.
So that started the kind of tire troubles, which you would think with a harder tire that takes longer to get up to temperature, it would last a lot longer. But Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like the guys that were double stinting really didn't have that much left in the tire. It seemed like the tires faded pretty quickly.
That was the thing that I found interesting about the compound, or about the new Pirellis, was that everyone was talking, when they were doing interviews with team owners and team principals and drivers in the paddock between stints, they were talking about how, the tires they just don't get up to temp as fast. You know, we're having trouble getting them up to temp. I would think that doing a double stint on those tires would be no problem then if they were such a hard compound. Right. But I guess that they just take a really long time to heat up and then just fall off super quick. Right. Which to me sounds like it's not a good compound.
No,
it seems backwards of what you'd want.
So the hard tire for comparison in F1, which gets so little use, takes a while to get up to temp. But once it gets up to temp, you can make it last 50, 60 laps, depending on the track, depending on the temp. Right. And granted, you don't have quite as good a grip, but that's not the point.
But it lasts a long
time. But it lasts, right. And
right.
we did not, granted, so if you double stinted a tire, for context, a single stint was about 1 hour. It was 50 minutes to an hour.
Right.
So a double stint would have you going about 2 hours on one compound, which, in terms of F1, would be about a full race.
Right.
But you can make a hard tire last in F1 for almost the whole race. And this was Gunan was sliding very consistently at the end of the race.
I imagine that this is somewhere between the medium and the hard tire in F1. And to be fair, it's one of those things of, for starters, everyone's on the same tire. You can't do different tire strategies. I mean, you can as far as pit stops and
but
single
it's
or double stint, that sort of thing. But it's the same tire.
Right.
So they have to make it, grippy enough to where, to where you're not sliding around all the time, but they have to make it hard enough to where it doesn't last only 30 minutes. So, I don't know. I imagine Pirelli will either revise the compound or just say to heck with it and then fix it next year.
It's next year's problem. We don't.
That's next year's problem. So yeah, I mean, honestly, really good race. Usual endurance things, battles. Another thing that another one of the records that was broken at this weekend's 12 hours was it was the longest green flag in Bathurst history,
and it set the lap record for the most laps completed.
Most laps. It was 326 laps. They did like 2,040 kilometers or something like that. So, just heads up whenever we watch Bathurst 1000,
it'll be shorter.
It'll be about 6 hours. So, I don't know. I always love endurance racing. It's hard to commentate on the whole race because I don't want to take notes on every incident and every overtake.
I want you to hit up the last two main bullet points and dive in because this was a great weekend for Rossi and his team minus the penalty. And then there was a particular Japanese car on track that when it went by, I was like, that's not a Mazda.
So I didn't watch any of the. For starters, we'll start with Rossi. So Valentino Rossi has obviously retired from motorcycle racing after a very successful career, the most successful career. Has retired and now has decided that with age comes a cage. So he is. That's true. It's how it works. It's
with age comes a cage.
With age comes a cage. It's what happens. It's when you're young and you're dumb, you own a bright yellow crotch rocket, and then when you're older and wise, you own a bright yellow Corvette with a roll cage. So Valentino Rossi is campaigning a BMW M4 GT. Is it called a GT3, GTE, GTD, GTZ? I don't. Whatever it is. He's in a BMW.
He's driving a Beamer.
Appropriately numbered, number 46. In yellow. However, I think that their livery at the 24 Hours of Dubai was better than this livery.
I didn't see the one at Dubai, but I liked this livery a lot.
Well, Nick, go watch on Wednesday when this video posts. I'll have pictures here. I'm
just looking it up.
Yeah, so Rossi was doing very well. He podiumed in Dubai, which was super cool, considering it was his debut with that BMW.
No, you're wrong. You liked a KFC-sponsored BMW?
Yeah, because I'm American, because it's funny.
You're do not ever. How dare you say... Yeah, because I'm an American. You don't watch NASCAR. There's the curse word for the episode.
There we go.
You don't watch NASCAR.
1 second. Let me... What? 3730. Okay, let me write it down. Oh my gosh.
You don't watch NASCAR. You can't claim you're an American.
3730.
That's the...
Fix.
I mean, look at this.
Okay.
We got the 3. We got the stars and stripes. I don't want to hear it.
Anyway, so either way, Rossi did rather well. Where did Rossi finished third? Rossi finished third at the 24 Hours of Dubai, and he finished. Where did he finish this time?
Like 5th, I think.
He finished 5th or 6th this time, which, whatever. Cool. Track he's probably never driven.
He hasn't.
Oh, no, I take it back. It's a track he's ridden because in 500cc they used to race there.
Well, fun fact, he was interviewed, and they're like, Valet, you're used to hanging off the side of motorcycles at 200 miles an hour. Like, how does this track compare to MotoGP stuff? And he was like, oh no, Bathurst is scary. He's like, it scares me.
It's nuts. It is one of the craziest tracks. So that was super cool. Also, Mick Doohan was there doing interviews because he is one of the team owners for one of the GT cars that was racing, I think. And his son's an F2 driver, so that's cool. But yeah, good weekend for Rossi, and then he had a dumb penalty where his taillights got covered in oil.
Which I love how they were like, you need functioning taillights, my guy. And when the BMW is parked in the pits, you can clearly see the LED taillights. I'm like, what are you looking at?
Oh my! It's just, I bet you one driver hopped on the radio and was like, "Hey, I can't see, the number 46
Rossi braked and I didn't see the car slow down.
I didn't see the car slow down. Yeah, whatever.
Go screw yourself, whoever you were. Screw you.
The most important thing about this race was a Mazda 3. Never thought I'd say that, but it was a Mazda 3.
I never thought I wouldn't argue with you about it.
There we go. So there was a car off on its own lonesome.
It was a wee car.
wee car, wee little.
It was in a class of 2. The other one didn't finish.
The other one didn't finish.
So it won its class.
Oh my gosh! But I saw this Mazda 3 and I was like, oh cool. I guess there's some dude riding a touring car here. And then,
Yeah, and then it goes by and it's like, and you're like, what?
that's a weird sounding Mazda. I had a Mazda 3. It didn't sound like that.
I forgot about that.
I did. I had a Mazda for an instant.
Wow, that was a random access memory you just unlocked.
Yep, there we go. It was a short time, but so there was a Mark Cars, and that is Mark in all caps. Cause
yeah, everybody, make sure to drop in the comments to make fun of Ben for having a Mazda 3 hatchback.
Woot! That car was awesome. I drove it again yesterday. So there was a Mark Cars Mazda 3
which is a
GTC.
dealership group in Australia. So that's
yes,
yeah.
And apparently in Australia, GTC is not normal touring cars.
No.
This is a 2-chassis, dry-sumped, 6-speed sequential, 550 horsepower Coyote-powered Mazda 3, which is the coolest sentence.
Power, we don't mean out of your 5.0 Mustang. We mean out of the Australian V8 supercar.
It's juiced up. It makes 550 horsepower. Like
with all the aluminum bits and the metal motor mounts.
Yeah.
And the...
yeah, it's like the coolest. For starters, it was the coolest car there. It just was. You can't. Are you gonna tell me that a 991.2 GT car is cooler than a Coyote billet dry sump 6-speed sequential tube chassis Mazda touring car?
Yes.
It's not. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Justice for the Mazda. Anyway, it was super cool. It wasn't going to win.
That was it. That was the whole point. It was just super cool.
It was super cool, and we should talk about it. And that is the car. I talked about it last episode. That is the car that has the carbon roof with Rossi's face on it, that the whole grid sign that they're going to pop off and auction off. So that's super cool. I've been to see what the auction ended at, because it ended at the end of the 12-hour, which was super cool. But now
ladies and gentlemen,
things to talk about.
We have Formula One liveries from 2 teams that didn't change a jack little thing, except for Williams. The only new thing on the Williams car was a new sticker on the nose and on either side of the rear wing. That was it.
It's a totally different car.
I don't want to.
This episode is just Nick and I arguing, and I'm very excited about it.
This episode is just Ben saying all the right things timed appropriately to drive me up.
I'm on top of it today. So we had livery. We have started
Mazda 3, man.
We have started the 2023 F1 season, basically.
Basically.
Basically, I mean, like.
We're here.
We're like a week and a half.
Hey, it counts more than a non-points race in NASCAR, so.
This is true. We're 2 weeks away from the start of testing, which means we're 2.5, 3 weeks away from Drive to Survive. Ooh, exciting. But last week, I mentioned it, there was the Haas VF23 launch, which we talked about the livery. I showed pictures of it. But I want to talk about the actual livery launch, because that's important for today's topic. So far, it's been the best one. It's been the best one so far, as far as livery launches go. The actual launch. Colorway
I don't watch the launches. I tried to watch the Red Bull one, and I watched 45 minutes of no-name Red Bull athletes who apparently were talented enough to fart with a Dorito.
Nick, I'm going to have to cut half of this episode out.
No, you're not. That's saying it.
So, here's the thing, though. We're going to get to the lovely Red Bull launch. The Haas launch, no one watched, because all they did was post a picture on Instagram. Thank you. That's all it should be. It's a car launch. Hey, we're releasing a new livery. Here it is. That's it. That's all we needed.
Yeah,
we needed not to mention,
let's just skip to the Red Bull launch. Not to mention the fact that Christian Horner was up there, and he's like, yeah, we've had a great, successful season, and we're really excited looking into next year. We think we're going to have a chance. It's like, no. No bleep, Sherlock. You are the reigning champions.
Oh, he's calmed down.
2 year
he
in a
bleeped himself. I don't have to bleep that one.
years in a row, consecutive driver world champions, and he's over here like trying to play it humble, and then it's like, hey, by the way, Ford is going to throw some money our way, like we're a cheap stripper in the middle of Louisiana, and then we're going to be able to make our own engines,
which I'm very excited about.
And that's 3.5 years away. So that's relevant for today's livery launch. And then at the end of all of it, you get a Command V or Command C and then Command V on the new car. Mm-hmm. That's for my Apple users.
So,
What? I just want to gouge out my eyes.
So,
and then Daniel Ricciardo is over here like, I love Daniel Ricciardo. Homeboy has no shame. He's the happiest reserve driver I've ever seen in my life.
Funny.
It's like, dude,
Because
you were not relevant enough to be in the top 20 drivers in the world to have a starting F1 seat.
You be nice to our honey badger. Okay, so Daniel Ricciardo. We'll start with him. Number one, I don't know why he was there. I'll be honest. I don't know why. Because the same time...
The shrimps are on the bobby, mate.
The same time that the Australian was in America, there was a Red Bull being driven around Bathurst in Australia. Why was it not Daniel doing it? Anyway, so Red Bull did have the RB7 at Bathurst, and Liam Lawson did do a lap, and I think it should have been Daniel, because, well, he's the media. That's his job. That's why he's there. He's there to do the press stuff and drive around and then talk to people and be like, I'm very happy that someone gave me $15 million to not race a season.
But instead he got to sit on a couch with a bunch of people
instead, he had someone
that had Fritos stitched on his toenails.
But instead he got twirled around to unveil his jacket or whatever. So, Haas, thank you. Red Bull, shame on you. Because you wasted an hour of my day.
If not more.
Dude, it took forever. But, like, Red Bull, I get.
No.
No. Like, relax. Stop. It is technically the Red Bull team launch. They are never labeled the livery launch. It's the car launch where they it's the team launch where they unveil the livery. Oh yay!
I wonder who's going to be team principal. Oh, it's Christian Horner. Oh.
So they debut the livery, the new merch, the new
If you wanted
kit,
to know
who
performed a triple backflip with a Dorito in their mouth into a pool of lava.
Fair, Are you hungry? Do you want Doritos? Why do you keep
I
bringing
hate Doritos. It's the most obscure.
You hate Doritos?
I hate Doritos. Also,
my gosh.
Watson has joined the podcast.
Hi, Watson. Hey, bud.
Aw.
How are you? Anyway, so the Red Bull launch took a very long time just for us because here's the thing. I watched it because I knew if I didn't watch it, they would come out with some grand, amazing new livery. Like, it'd be totally different and radical and surprise everyone.
Right.
Because they hyped it up so much. They showed the all-white car, and they were like, what would your livery be? And then they, like, threw out teaser shots, and everyone was like, ooh, mystery.
Whoa!
It is...
Last year's car.
It is last year's car.
You cannot convince me that the car they actually had unveiled wasn't actually Max's car from last year. Like, in terms of the actual car... The serial number, you cannot convince me that this car they unveiled is not off the track from Abu Dhabi Max Verstappen's 2022 car.
The RB19 that they debuted, which I guarantee you looks nothing like the car we see in Bahrain in 2 weeks. The RB19 that was in New York City, guaranteed was on track last year, and they were like, oh shoot, we need to make a livery, and just pulled off the Puma stickers and stuck on whatever the heck that is. Like,
I
that's
didn't even
all it
notice
is.
that, but yeah.
Dude, it's literally the only difference is they pulled off the tiny, like, there's a Puma sticker that's like 2 inches long on, like, the front, like, behind the front wheel. It's like this big, and they pulled it off and it's something else, and that's the only difference I can see. It's...
I hate it.
And, like, here's the
hate
thing. We always give Red Bull crap because we're like, oh, it's the same livery every year. But, like, they normally, like, it's a different shade of blue or it's a different shade of red.
It's matte versus metallic or
versus
there's
metallic.
some purple
Or, like,
in
the Sebastian era, they were very blue. But, like, it is, and I cannot say this enough, it is last year's car.
So, Ben, here's another chance for your editing skills to go to work.
Yes, please.
Here is the 2022 car.
Ding.
Here is the 2023 car. 2022? 23.
Ding. Ding.
22? 23.
I'm
23?
actually just going to
23?
use the same picture for all of them
23?
because there is no difference. It's
23?
the same car.
22. 23?
There we go.
Back to 22.
Oh
you
my
wouldn't
gosh.
know.
Well, no, it's the same car.
Yeah, and like, he says he can't emphasize it enough. I mean, quite literally, the car they unveiled had Max Verstappen's ass sweat in it from last year. It is the same automobile.
That car has been on track. I guarantee it.
That car has won races, even though it's a new car.
For sure. Like, and if it wasn't on track, it was like the spare parts that they had. From
Or that was the one that they had at the Red Bull Expo for VIPs that sits out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my, dude, like, it is last year's car.
So
like,
let's talk about...
Aero is different. Nothing's different. It is last year's car.
Avasti matey, in case you thought we couldn't get more annoyed at a car launch. Williams.
Okay, no, hold up. Stop. You're wrong. I loved the Williams launch. I think it was quite good. I think it was well done. It was all of 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm not talking about the launch. I'm talking about the livery. That's all anybody cares about when it comes to the launch.
Okay, but like, this gives us a chance to talk shit about Red Bull a bit more.
Hey, Ben, I got a question for you.
I've got an answer for you.
What is the most legendary racing livery of all time?
I'm going to go with the pink Racing Point. No, sorry, which one are you talking about? I don't know. Because I'm going to say something different than what you're going to say.
No, you're not. Literally, think of the most iconic race cars of all time. What livery were they in?
Probably a Marlboro livery. Is what I would go with.
Golf blue and orange.
Yeah.
So, if you happen to have a sponsorship with Golf, you are guaranteed access to one of the most iconic, sensational, sexy liveries in the history of motorsports. Ben will put images of a 68 Ford GT40, a 1970 Porsche 917, a 1976 Mirage prototype.
There will be stuff.
The 19 or 20 McLaren at Monaco.
Yeah.
The Aston Martin from 2013 at Le Mans.
Yes.
Some of the most sensational liveries in the history of the sport. Mm-hmm. And Williams decided, how about no? And let's throw a Duracell still on it.
But I like it. It's good. It's a good-looking car.
Can't wait to go shock on the rest of my case of Coors so I can forget about this.
I'm very excited for that. Anyway, Williams launch, for starters, before we talk about the car. Well done. It was pre-recorded. There was no live stuff. There was no fireworks. There was no crowd. It's Will Buxton and the two drivers, and Jamie Chadwick was also there and talked for like 3 minutes.
I saw a meme, and it was like, a livery reveal is typically when teams reveal their livery. And then it said, Will Buxton probably.
That's good. But, like, it was pre-recorded. It was all of, like, 20 minutes. It was like, here's the drivers in their new thing. Here's a 3-minute background video on these drivers. This is Alex Albon, and, like, he was at Red Bull, and then he left, and that sucked. And
in case you woke up yesterday.
Because some people do, Nick. There are new fans. You know, like
No.
NASCAR, when
Never.
they went to the LA Coliseum to get
No.
new fans,
No.
there are new fans. So they did, like, little videos, and they did an interview, and they were like, hey, there's an American. Let's talk to the American. And then, like, it was just like, here's the car. And then they showed the car, and then the live stream ended. And that was it. And I was like, thank God. That's it. That's perfect. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted was that. Like, it was perfect. It was so simple. The only thing more simple was Haas's launch. The livery looks very different. If you have eyeballs, there will be pictures up here. The car looks very different.
You are out of your goddamn mind.
We knew that. So the livery looks very different. I like it much more. Also, the car looks very different from last year's car. It looks...
There's a 4-centimeter portion in the nose that is no longer there, and
my God.
there's a sticker, a 0.5 millimeter thick, that wasn't there.
Nick, it annoys me. It pains me. It burns my soul that you care about things other than just the car. You care about the drivers. You care about the drum. It's the car. That's it. I don't care who drives it. I don't care if you drive it. I don't care if Nikita Mazepin drives it. It doesn't matter to me. They're all the same person. I like the car. So the
I
car
am
is good.
Nikita Mazepin. I am a Russian son of an oligarch.
You are. Fernando Alonso and Nikita Mazepin are the same person, confirmed. So, the livery looks fantastic. I quite like it.
I am awfully close to just closing this Riverside session. It'll be Crybaby Bubba has left this session.
I've always wanted to see how close could I get you to
This is the closest. In 33 episodes, this is the closest.
Okay.
Keep pushing. You're almost there.
So there'll be pictures on the screen where you can see the air intake looks different. The wing is different. The side pod is different. The nose is different. It's a different car. If you look at it, it looks nothing like last year's car. As opposed
If you
to Red Bull's
squint
car,
hard enough, you might notice a difference.
you don't have to squint because there'll be pictures on the screen, and you all have eyeballs. I'm pretty sure. If you're watching this, you probably have eyeballs. If not, you're just listening to it.
I'm just looking at my Z01 GT4R fender and thinking, why couldn't liveries look more like you?
So, Williams livery, I quite like it. Well done, Williams. I mean, yeah, that's as far as we have livery launches. That's it.
Ben's like, listen, yes.
I was really hoping Nick was gonna pick it up or something.
No, I'll pick it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the F1 livery launches. So we had
all we got.
a car from 2022 with Dorito farters, and we had another car from 2022 with a Duracell box that might have been different if you care. Ben, take it from here.
We do, because we like all the cars on the grid. So, coming up for livery launches as we approach the actual start of the 2023 season.
All the liveries that matter.
We have Alfa Romeo tomorrow. We have AlphaTauri on the 11th, Aston and McLaren on the 13th, Ferrari on the 14th, Mercedes on the 15th, and Alpine on the 16th. Nick Patty, of those, which you're looking forward to, and why is it Fernando Alonso's car? Because I've met you.
It's actually not Fernando Alonso's car.
Interesting.
Want me to look at the list again?
Nick, you're like, I have to make something that isn't Alonso's car?
I want to say McLaren, but I know they're going to put the stupidest Google crap on the center covers for the wheels that looks just stupid.
Yeah.
So I'll probably say Alpha, because even though it's probably going to be red and white, the Alpha livery is one of the best looking liveries, and if they just throw a splash
really
of green
good.
in there for the Italian flag.
It was really good. So the Alpha livery is going to look really good. AlphaTauri, I don't know.
Knowing how Red Bull went, it's going to be the same damn thing.
Wasn't a really big fan of AlphaTauri's livery last year anyway. Aston Martin, we have a new green to look forward to. I'll put a side-by-side comparison up on the screen if
And
you're
the
not
new green
interested.
is less British.
Is less British, it's true. It's just more green. The McLaren is probably orange, but I'm going to be hopelessly optimistic and cross my fingers that it's chrome again.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, that livery was awesome.
The best.
There will be a picture of that here.
Here's the question, though. Chrome with the orange Vodafone or chrome with the black and gray from the Kimi Räikkönen and Mika Hakkinen days?
Kimi Räikkönen and Mika Hakkinen.
I agree.
era,
Okay.
For sure.
Good.
We have agreed on one thing. in 1
Yay!
hour.
I'm staying through the finish of the episode!
Yay!
Yahoo!
I mean, to be fair, though, what could be the biggest surprise is the Ferrari livery. Do you think it's going to be red? It's probably going to be red, right? It's probably going to be red.
I want Ferrari to come out with an F1 livery that's all yellow with black along the bottom and up the wing. That would look...
Dude, I want it to be white. I want it to be all white with red accents. That'd be awesome.
I'm so close. You want it to look like the Alfa Romeo.
No. Because the Alfa Romeo
of course not. No,
was like half red, half white. I literally want it to be a white car with like red stripes. Actually, what I really want, can I be honest?
No, actually,
Can I
you
be
can't.
honest?
No.
It's my podcast. I'm going to be honest. I want, hold up. I'm going to get the year right. Because I want to be accurate.
I can't wait to
We're
see
all
you in
about-
class tomorrow so I can utterly curb stomp you.
Let me see here. 1964. The blue and white livery.
Yes, the NART. The NART
Yep.
car.
Yep. Okay. See, not gonna hit me tomorrow, probably.
That's the second thing we've agreed on, was the NART
Second
car.
thing we've agreed on, that Ferrari should be blue. Mercedes, silver or black?
Silver.
Silver? You sure? Because the black was better.
Yeah, but they'll go silver.
Damn. Okay. And then Alpine. It's gonna be blue again, I guess?
Probably going to be white, because the French are... I may need a job with them one
French?
day, so yes, they're very French. Croissant.
Just to throw wheat.
Alpine's rear wing is going to be the shape of a croissant.
So
If Esteban Ocon doesn't have a cheesy, thin French 70s mustache, I don't want it.
I hope that they all have fake mustaches for the.
I want them to all look like Chief
then just-
Inspector Clouseau from Pink Panther.
and then just no one talks about it. Like, just I hope for the livery. I hope
Just,
they just
they don't mention it. They
don't mention it at all. They
I
come out
want
like
I want the livery
like-
launch to be a bunch of mimes, and they're like feeling up the car.
like I want really fake mustaches, and I hope they like Sharpied them on like as they were walking onto the stage.
I want Esteban Ocon to be like,
Alex was like, hold up here, and then just like, and then like they just walked on, and then just no one says anything, like they just don't bring it up.
I
no
want
one cracks
Ocon.
a smile.
I want
nothing.
Ocon to just go, oh ho ho, this is the new Alpine, oui oui. We have le French cars, the croissant, and the car, the engine.
We need to figure out when we're going to do our Formula One preseason episode. Are we doing
Probably once
one?
all the liveries are out and testing starts.
Are we going to do it before testing, or are we going to wait till
After.
testing?
Let's do after.
After?
Because we can
After?
analyze and then, look forward.
Oh, you want to be like proper about it.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get Kevin Buckler to join the podcast, so...
Dear Kevin Buckler, join the podcast.
Indeed.
Well, Nick, this has been an oddly short episode for us.
Thank God.
Nick was like, I'm really sick of your shit, dude.
I'm really sick of your Puma sticker analysis.
Oh my gosh.
We.
Anyway, at some point, we're going to do a non-motorsport episode. At some point.
No.
Probably not. Well, we need to talk about the golf from last week. So, you look... Okay. So we need to talk about the golf that sold last week. Because the 90s are popular for some reason.
Oh, we need to talk about the Volkswagen Golf.
Well, someone paid $87,000 for a 1992 Golf.
So somebody's getting committed to a mental institute.
It was a really nice shade of red. But, like, it was a GTI. It wasn't a special edition.
The red is red.
56,000 miles, not a special edition, red 5-speed manual GTI.
Well, I don't know if I should unveil this to the audience, but my wife and I are in a 5-month plan, and we're going to have a Porsche in the family here soon. Another one.
5-month plan? Okay. Huh. Very intrigued. Where's the engine going to be? Here, I'll let you answer this in a really annoying way. Is it going to be in the proper location or the other proper location?
Because it's going to be in the location that happened to create the most perfect balance in any car in the history of automobiles.
Unless you ask physics, in which case it's not.
It is, though. A 50.5 to 49.5 weight ratio.
Don't you have one of those?
Almost.
The
944 is 51 to 49.
Front to rear? Or rear to front?
Front to rear.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Anyway, that's going to do it for episode 33, because we have rambled on too long about Puma stickers.
Led Zeppelin.
So, this episode is going to go live tonight. If you're an audio listener, it's going to go live Wednesday. If you're on the YouTubes,
it's going to go it's going to go live when Ben decides for it to go live.
Audio will go live tonight. Video will go live Wednesday.
Oui.
So yeah, if you're still listening, thank you very much. If you're on an audio platform, please give us a follow. Wow.
Restart. Take it back. Restart.
Nope. Keep going.
Nope.
If you're listening to this on an audio platform, please give us a follow. Please share the podcast. Please give us a rating. Please give us a review. It helps us very much to bring you more, hopefully, awesome content about...
Hopefully.
If you're on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please turn on the bell. Please like and subscribe.
And make sure to share. Share it to your friends.
Make sure to share to the friends.
Family. Ex-girlfriend.
All that stuff.
Whoever.
Share it to your dog. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. This has been episode 33 of The Clutch Dump. We'll see you next time.